Tonight was a night that would turn his world upside down. It would be a night filled with emotional personifications, spiritual embodiments, and physical entities, some of whom wanted to help him, while other fiendish ones were determined to hurt him. Chapter 3. The foreboding realisation. On the short walk home, Evan was trying to concentrate on the night's work that lay ahead. His concentration, though, was being constantly tested with interruptions. Interruptions concerning the early confrontation with the unknown man and how he had managed to materialise and evaporate at will. Evan's logic was trying to dispute the evidence which his mind and his eyes knew to be true. So he appeared at will through a brick wall and then disappeared into thin air. His logic ridiculed his rationality. He was there. You know he was. You saw him, his mind responded, supporting the testimony of his eyes. But if he was there, where did he go? Evan rallied back at his mind, feeling disloyal to whichever school of thought he sided with. I wonder if I'm not well, he suggested to himself. This seemed like a reasonable explanation, but as soon as the idea had presented itself to Evan, he had to dismiss it, realising that if he was so ill that his imagination had made an apparition appear and speak to him, then he was not in a fit state to work that evening. As he continued walking, he continued talking out loud, discussing the possible reasons and the probable explanation as to the unexpected appearance and the inexplicable disappearance of the washroom escapologist. So, he somehow managed to mysteriously gain access to the gentleman's without making a noise, and then he disappeared into thin air. He wondered why the air always had to be thin in order for a person to disappear into. He could appreciate someone disappearing into thick air, fog as it were, but not thin air. Or he somehow managed to walk through a solid wall. And even though I've never seen him before, he knew me and he wanted to talk to me. Is that what you would have me believe? He tried to put his thoughts on hold for a moment and change the gears of his mind into neutral before it drove him around the bend, as it was all too much for a Saturday afternoon. His agitated mind soon grew restless, and it pushed on with the inquisition as to the identity and the escapology abilities of the strange stranger from the pub. I wonder if it really was me that he wanted to talk to, he asked, subconsciously altering the line of questioning from the impossible physics of walking through a stone wall to the mathematical probabilities of mistaken identity. I wonder if perhaps he got me mixed up with somebody else. After all, I'd remember him if I'd met him before. He was a bit, how can I put this without being mean? Weird. Yes, definitely weird. All those pockets and zips at his age. He stopped walking as though this would help him gather his thoughts and sort them into some kind of understandable comprehension. Mixed up with somebody else seems feasible. After all, he never referred to me by name. He then dismissed the notion as he gently stroked his chin in a manner which suggested that he thought he was far too good looking to be mistaken for anybody else. He faked a smile of pretence at the false vanity which he had used in order to push the outlandish suggestion of explanation to one side. Suggestions which were poised to push their way to the front of his mind the moment they let his concentration wane. He set off walking again, much faster than his usual pace, as though attempting to keep the foreboding realisation behind him. As he reached his house and approached his front door, he decided that the best thing to do, well, the easiest for now, was to postpone any more thoughts of his early encounter with the stranger, unless of course the need to understand the stranger's identity refused to be silenced. Evan knew that his concentration would need to be keen and focused while he was at work, so he decided to put the stranger in a box which he kept in the corridors of his mind, and he closed the lid. With that decision reached, he retired to bed for 2 hours, for tonight would be a long and busy night, much busier than Evan could have anticipated, and more bizarre than he could have ever imagined. Tonight was a night that would turn his world upside down. It would be a night filled with emotional personifications, spiritual embodiments, and physical entities, some of whom wanted to help him, while other fiendish ones were determined to hurt him, to punish him for his past indiscretions. As he slept in the late afternoon, he could not have imagined what lay ahead, what the stranger from the pub wanted, nor what all the others had in store for him.